Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning everyone.
Morning.
We're from the fourth group. My name is Siti Asia and these are my friends Siti Aisyah and Arina Sekolah. So today we will learn about the function of oral language. The first material will be delivered by Mbak Arina. First we will discuss about the definition of oral language. Oral language is the system through which we use spoken words to express knowledge, ideas, and feelings. Oral language aspects to person's ability to communicate by using words and sounds to speak and listen. It is the primary way in which humans freely interact with each other. In oral language, a person speaks words verbally to convey message, ideas, information, or feelings to another person, while the receiver of message listen and respond. The next slide. And the next slide, there are several functions of oral language according to Michelle Hedges. First one is regulatory function. Regulatory function is controlling the behavior and feelings of others. So this regulatory function can be said to be language that can be used So this regulatory function can be said to be language that can be used to influence the behavior and feelings of others. This relates to persuading or commanding or asking others to do the things we want. For example, close the door please. So this regulatory function can help individual interaction effectively in a variety of everyday situations and ensure that their message are understood and followed by others. The second one is interactional function. Interactional function is getting along with others. So this interactional function of oral language is used to build and maintain social relationship and facilitate the interaction process. For example, creating the word hello or asking how are you at the beginning of the conversation. That way, it will create a pleasant atmosphere in daily interaction. And the next slide. Yes, the next one is personal function. Personal function is expressing individuality. In this case, oral language is used to express one's own preferences, identity, feelings, and emotion. In addition, oral language also functions to express personality. So here we can describe and tell personal experience in detail. So this personal function we can also express opinion and respond to an ideas. For example, Lake Towe is a good place for refreshing. Nah, untuk another example, kayak to describe a feeling, we can say I feel very happy today. And the next one is representational function. Representational function is communication of information. Now, oral language can be used to exchange information, which means giving and asking information. It can also be used to give or ask for fact and description of the real world. For example, the weather is very hot today. The temperature is 35 degrees Celsius. Okay, and the next material will be explained. Okay, the next is heuristic function of oral language. The heuristic function of oral language is used to learn and explore the environment. This can be question and answer. For example, what's the tractor doing?
So we use this function to seeking and testing knowledge, like when we want to asking for people, we can say, tell me why it can be like this. And it also can be discussions, interview, exploratory talk, and investigations. The next is imaginative function. The imaginative function of language is language used to explore the imagination or to create imaginary system or ideas. And the example is like we want to create something like stories, dramatization, rhyme, storytelling, and performances. The next is the instrumental function. The instrumental function of language is language used to express what the peoples need. So we use this language to express what we want to do, or we want to have something, like I want to buy a car, or I want to have something like this. The other function is expressive function and social function. The first is expressive functions. It allows individuals to express their thoughts, feelings, and ideas through spoken words. So we can express our feeling like happy, sad, or mad with spoken words. The next is social function. Oral language enables social interaction by facilitating conversation, dialogue, and discussions. So when we want to build a relationship with friends or other people, we can use this function to start conversation, dialogue, and discussions. The next is Lapisa.
And the next function is informative function. This function is related to ability of spoken language to convey information and fact to other people. And through spoken language, we can share knowledge, explain concept, provide news, or describe event. For example, when we give a report about an event or explain the working process of machine that is unexplained of the informative function of spoken language. And the next function is directive function. This function is related to the ability of spoken language to provide instruction or direction to other people. When we ask someone to do something, give advice, or direct someone in situation. Those are example of the directive function. This function is very important in everyday communication, such as in the situation of teacher instruction to student in class. And the next function is aesthetic function. This function is related to the artistic and aesthetic aspect of spoken language. Language can be used to express feeling, create work of art such as poetry, song, or tell stories in creative style. The aesthetic function helps us express ourselves articulately and stimulate the feeling and imagination of others. Cognitive function. The cognitive function of spoken language is related to ability of language to assess thinking, understanding, and problem solving. When we speak, we often use language to design arguments, solve problems, or organize complex ideas. Spoken language allows us to organize and express complex through informal form. And the last function is employment function. The function is include the use of spoken language in the context of a particular job or profession. Its employment has specific language and terms used in daily communication. For example, in the medical field, there is a special language used by doctor and nurse to communicate about patient condition. Employment function facilitate effective communication in the work environment.
And now we're going to open Q&A session. Please, anyone who want to ask, raise your hands.
My name is Kiwan Aprilia, my student ID 2521100. I will ask about the aesthetic function that Mbak Aisyah has explained. I want to know how can the aesthetic function influence other people's interpretation and response to work of art in spoken language.
My name is Alvina Fadlila, student ID 2521102. This was explained before that oral language can be used to exchange information or ask for information, as in the fact that the description is real. Is there another example that is more related and easier to understand, perhaps like something we normally do in everyday life, maybe or online? Thank you.
My name is Alma Ariani with student ID 2411093. Aisha explained that the aesthetic function is related to artistic and creative purposes. Then, is there an aesthetic function in daily communication? If so, what is the differences between language aesthetic in literature works and language aesthetic in daily communication? Thank you.
My name is Ailata Fakria, student ID is 2521017. Part of regulatory function, if someone is fighting or arguing with someone else, someone must mediate between the two parties. So the question is, how do we use oral language to reduce tension or conflict in social interaction? Thank you.
Yes.
My name is Mulia Pramas Indias. My student ID is 2521015. I want to ask about heuristic function. Can you provide a concrete example of how heuristic functions are used in everyday life? Thank you.
To answer a question from Mbak Wulan, the question is, how can the aesthetic function influence other people, interpretation and response to work of art in spoken language? The question is, provide a deep emotional and artistic dimension to communication through the use of style, rhythm, metaphor, and other aesthetic elements. And the next question from Mbak Alma. The question is, explain earlier that the aesthetic function is related to aspect of art. So, is there are aesthetic function in everyday communication? If so, what is the difference between language aesthetic in literary work and language aesthetic in everyday communication? And the question is, the difference in the function of aesthetic in literary work and everyday life is that in literary work, the emphasis is more on the beauty of language, whereas in everyday life is the effective use of language for the purpose of effective communication. Okay.
Okay, I would like to answer the question from Mbak Mutia. So the example of the heuristic function is like we want to learn or explore something in our environment. Like when we see people wash the car or the motorcycle, usually we want to know what is he doing, and we will ask to our parents or our people around us like what is he doing or what happened to that car or to the motorcycle.
Okay. I would like to answer the question from Betila. Yeah. The question is provides another example related to the representational function. As we explained earlier, The representational function means conveying or requesting information. Nah, for example-nya, hello, please let me know when you have arrived here. So, apa ya? Giving, asking information. Okay, and the next one, I would like to answer the question from the Aila. The question is, how do we use oral language to discuss conflict or fight in social interaction? We can listen first, understand what the parties involved in the conflict are saying, understand their perspective, then we can break it up or ask them to stop fighting with wise words such as, let's sit together and talk about this problem calmly. That way, we can influence their feelings to no longer continue the fight. That way, we can influence their feelings to no longer continue the fight. It's enough?
Okay, I will tell the conclusion of this material today. So the oral language skills provide the foundation of work, reading, and comprehension. They are at the heart of listening and reading comprehension, serving as a predictor of both. There are many functions of the oral language. Those are regulatory, interactional, personal, representational, heuristic, imaginative, instrumental, and then expressive, social, informative, directive, aesthetic, quantitative, cognitive, and employment. Okay, that's from us. Thank you so much for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi